You guys ready over there? Ready on that side? Let's get.
Nice tie, Grant. You must have read the memo.
Oh, yeah. Take a picture. I didn't get the memo. Okay, there we go. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. This is City Commission, Monday, November 25th, excuse me. The time is 5:31. Would you please rise for the invocation and the pledge? Heavenly Father, we ask that you watch over this group tonight, that you help us make good decisions for the city of Leesburg. We do this in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item 2 is proclamations. We have none. Item 3 is presentations. We're going to have Andy read the certification results from the November 5th, 2024 election.
Official results, Certificate of County Canvassing Board, Lake County. We, the undersigned, Carla Pepperman, Board Chair, Jennifer Hill, BOCC appointee, Sarah Jones, Circuit Court appointee, constituting the Board of County Canvassers in and for said county, do hereby certify that we met on the 15th day of November 2024 AD and proceeded publicly to canvass the votes given for the several offices and persons herein specified at the nonpartisan election held on the 5th day of November 2024 AD, as shown by the returns on file in the Office of the Supervisor of Elections. We do hereby certify from said return as follows. For Leesburg, Seat 3, District 3, the whole number of votes cast was 3,770, of which Jay Connell received 1,592 votes, Fred Griffin Jr. received 713 votes, Michael Huey received 179 votes, Tim Sullivan received 1,286 votes. Congratulations, Commissioner Connell.
Congratulations, Jay. This time we'll move on to item 4, that's public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future City Commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5. That's the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commission or staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the item or items from the consent agenda. 2, vote on remaining items with 1 roll call vote. And 3, discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. Are there any items anyone would like to pull?
5B4.
5B4.
5B3, just have questions.
5B3. Anything else?
Make a motion to approve all remaining items.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Mayor Brady.
Yes. Would someone please introduce 5B3?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Purchase request for 5 new 2025 excuse me, Ford Interceptor utility AWD vehicles for the police department in the total amount of $218,237 from Garber Fleet Sales, contract holder for the Central Florida region under the Florida Sheriff's Association.
Move for approval.
Second.
Yes.
Discussion?
Yes. I just have a question, please. This is a total now of, is it 14 cars that we have now gotten? October 28th, we approved, I think it was 9. That sounds good?
Your number sounds about right.
Okay. All right. And will we, my concern is, will we have any more coming through? That's what I was just want to ask.
I think that's it, right, for this fiscal year. Yeah,
Okay.
This should be, and remember, so we pay for these with DST funds. And that's so we take the DST funds, we pay the lease
Yep.
purchase, it goes in the general fund that way.
Because I thought it was going to be more, I thought it would be more than that.
No, that's, we replace a certain amount every year.
Okay.
Out of all the 70 some odd
Okay.
cruisers, so.
All right, no problem, that was it. I just wanted clarity, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Eastman? Yes. Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes,
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce 5B4.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute the Second Amendment to Food Service Concessionaire Agreement between the City of Leesburg and Beacon College, Inc., Sodexo USA, Inc., and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion.
I pulled this. First of all, their lease is currently expired, so they don't have a lease with us. Secondly, this lease started in 2015 at $750 a month with no CPI increases, and it's still at $750. And then I was going to see, well, a couple other things I noticed in the lease. We furnish everything from electricity, and then on page, section 20 of the lease of the, I don't think they're meeting the requirements of the hours. They're supposed to be operational the entire time the library is opened, and they're not doing that. And then I think they were supposed to be doing some promotions and advertising at their cost, and they're not doing that as well. I would like to see if we could put this out for bid and have the city advertise it, and then if they come back as the highest, best use, then we can accept it. But I would like to see us put this out to bid and go from there. See what your guys' thoughts are on that.
I have a question. What are the hours that,
It's supposed to mimic the library hours, so whatever
Oh,
those
okay.
hours are. So,
That's a tough one. I mean, they are right there. I'm sure they're a big user of the library.
so it's a coffee shop right now, and
Okay.
when you go there in the mornings, they're not open. So,
Okay. Well, I probably agree with the hours. I do like the CPI index. We've been pretty much doing that in all leases.
Yeah.
We do it at the airport. I think we do it almost
Every lease
We've pretty much
has.
gotten where we do it on all leases, so that's not unreasonable. But as far, I'll let the other commissioners speak to bidding it out. I'm not sure what I think about that. It's just not that big of a lease either.
Library hours, 9 o'clock? Is that what time the library opens?
I mean, they should be there, and when the library at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, they should be open as well per the contract, and they're not.
Okay.
What do they serve, Al? Just coffee?
Coffee, Danishes,
Is it-
coffee, food, and
I
coffee.
mean, is it really even that profitable? They could even afford more than $750 a month?
I'll say this, I think Commissioner Reisman has some points. It's an old lease. We haven't really renewed it. I think we'll renew it
This is
on
the second
probably the last options in there before it needs to go out to bid. We ended up with them because we had trouble getting a company to live up to our standards. That was some time ago, so really, from a staff position, this is the easy answer for us. If we want to, I think Beacon would probably work with us through a procurement process to see what we get.
And when you put it out for lease and you just put it out, they have to do coffee and Danish only, or
Yeah, we'll come up with
Or-
some type
or-
of procurement process.
or a lunch?
No, I don't anticipate it being a full-service thing, just a coffee shop.
Well,
And that might be something we look at. I'll talk to Dusty, during the procurement process.
I wouldn't put any barriers on it if they want to do breakfast, lunch, and/or dinner. I think
I think the barriers are probably just gonna be whatever the health regulations are and whatever that facility can manage.
yeah, but I would like to see it go out for RFP, publicly advertised, and then if Beacon wants to bid on it, then they can bid on it and then open it up to any other potential restaurants or that go out, that would like to go in there.
Does Beacon use this as any type of program for their,
Not that I'm aware of.
okay, so no part of their classes are related to this?
My gut reaction is I don't think we're going to draw any other bidders, number one. Number two, probably doesn't bother me they're not open in the morning because we have a coffee shop about, block and a half down the street. So I'm sure maybe they go there and help that local business. But
We're growing downtown, and I think we should open it up and see what we get. If Beacon bids it, then Beacon bids it, but that's where I would like to go with it.
Has anyone addressed the coffee shop to see why they're not open?
This is the first time I've seen the lease, and so
So with that in mind, we have a resolution on the floor.
Yeah, so if it's,
I mean, we got to vote it down in
I'll
order
make-
to,
if you vote it down, we'll do a procurement process. If you vote to approve it, then it's approved.
okay?
do you need a motion for the procurement?
You already, no, I don't, we don't
Okay.
need none for that.
I think we're okay with that, yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so, any other comments? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
yes,
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Reisman?
No.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. We'll move on to item 5C. Oh, no, that, I got the resolutions done. I got to move my pages. We're going too fast, guys. Okay, so we'll move on to item 6, public hearings and non-routine items. Grant, if you would work your magic, please, sir, and swear everyone in.
Yes, sir, I will, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. If anyone is here tonight to speak on item 6A2, which is the PUD Blunt Birchmeyer rezoning, if you would please stand and raise your right hand so we can have you sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you all. Mr. Mayor, you're ready?
All right, thank you. All right, would someone please introduce item 6A, 1 and 2?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
6A1, an ordinance amending the future land use map, excuse me, of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 31 plus minus acres from City of Leesburg Industrial to City of Leesburg General Commercial for property generally located south of County Road 48, west of U.S. Highway 27, and east of Haywood Worm Farm Road, lying in Section 14, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A2, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 31 plus minus acres from City of Leesburg CIP Commercial Industrial Plan to City of Leesburg PUD Planned Unit Development to allow for a mixed-use development for a property generally located south of County Road 48, west of U.S. Highway 27, and east of Haywood Worm Farm Road, lying in Section 14, Township 20, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
second,
Okay. Dan, if you would, please come up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning. This is the Blunt Birchmeyer project. The overall proposal is a large-scale comp plan and rezoning of 31.48 plus or minus acres. It's generally located on the south side of County Road 48 and west of US 27, which is just west of that new Wendy's behind the Winn-Dixie shopping plaza there. This will allow, if approved, for future development of 250 attached single-family units along with a commercial component, which would lie adjacent to County Road 48. The property is already within the city limits, and it is currently zoned M1, which is industrial. For the first case, which is the small-scale comp plan, the request is to change the future land use designation from industrial to general commercial. On the second case, which is the rezoning, the request is to amend the current zoning from CIP, which is commercial industrial planned, to PUD, planned unit development. Under the PUD requirements, the proposal consists of 250 attached single-family residential units, 24,000 square feet of commercial uses with no other uses permitted within the proposal. The lot sizes would be 20 feet because it's townhouses on the interior and 22 feet on the end units. You'd have a front setback of 25 feet. The minimum house size would be 1,000 square feet. minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces for each unit, and 2 floors being the maximum height. There are design and architectural standards, including 35% of the property being in open space, the dark sky lighting, which is standard, as you're aware. Trees required, 25-foot landscape buffer required along the entirety of the property boundaries, and there are fence requirements as seen in Exhibit F, which is attached within the PUD. Sidewalks required throughout the development, and of course, the standard use prohibiting St. Augustine grass, requiring the use of Bahia or Bermuda. Site access and signage would have access, which will be shown on the site plan, along County Road 48, plus 1 emergency access point on the northwest side. So that would be a compacted emergency access. The main access would be required to be a boulevard-type roadway with a landscape median of at least 8 feet in width and enough lane area to allow emergency vehicles to pass if necessary. The signage would be a decorative entry feature of concrete brick or stucco wall at least 5 feet in height on each side of the entryway. The recreational requirements are the standard 200 square feet per unit, which would give us approximately 50,000 square feet, or 1.14 acres, which would be set aside for playground, dog parks, barbecue, things of that nature. There is a 25-foot buffer that completely surrounds the property, and the developer is committed to, within that 25-foot buffer, building a proposed walking trail that will connect to the proposed Lake County Trail that will go along the south side of County Road 48. There is a phasing or expiration clause, as is in all of our PUDs, which requires that development would move forward with substantial commencement within 4 years, 48 months, or the property would be subject to an automatic reversion to the RE1 zoning district. And as you'll recall, RE1 is 1 acre per unit, not 1 unit per acre, but 1 full acre per unit. Lake County Public Works did require turn lanes on County Road 48, left turn lanes for entry, acceleration and deceleration lanes for exiting the development, and additional right-of-way along County Road 48, and room for the proposed trail. Mr. Steve Harris of Bright Homes is here tonight with us, as well as Ms. Danielle Parker and Mr. Rick Blunt of Blunt Development. They're here to represent the case and answer any questions you may have. Thank you, sir.
Any questions for Dan? Well, petitioner would like to come forward.
Evening. I'll be brief. Thank you for setting that up. I'm Steve Harris with Bright Homes, 6751 Forum Drive in Orlando. Wish to convey first our thanks to Dan Miller and his staff. They've done great to have helped provide guidance and expertise as we navigated through this the zoning codes. I have learned that the Blount organization has been working for the last 2 years with Mr. Miller and his staff, and every time they've come up with a solution, it's been a less intense solution, and it's culminating in the project that's before you, 250 townhomes. I guess I got the gizmo here. There we go. It's just a location map showing our 31-acre site. You see the intersection of Highway 48 and 27 to the right, the Arlington Ridge subdivision, the self-storage area that's directly next to us. It's worth mentioning, and I think Mr. Miller mentioned this, that this property does not require annexation. It's already part of the city. As you mentioned, we have a CIP zoning, which allows for a rather substantial commercial industrial building. This project is substantially less intensive. We had a traffic study done by traffic and mobility consultants, and their conclusions were the obvious. We're far less intensive. Predictably, there's significantly fewer trips that are predicted for this project. The culmination of the traffic report has several material things I'd like to read for you. One is there are no material impacts to traffic on Highway 48. There are no improvements that are required for the intersection of Highway 48 and Highway 27. The only requirements, which Mr. Miller mentioned earlier, is a left and right turn access lane directly in front of the subdivision. And it's worth mentioning this report is going to go through a review and approval process through the county after this meeting here. Let's see. I wanted to point out a couple things here. This is the fun stuff. Sometimes this is overlooked. It's worth mentioning again. These are the amenities that are in the center that aren't easy to see on a tiny little map. We have tree buffers along Highway 48 that help screen the subdivision. There's a tree-lined road that goes, the main road is tree-lined all the way into the roundabout. The roundabout is just adjacent to a retention pond and a fountain system. We have actually designed the center to retain the heritage trees that we discovered through our tree survey. As Mr. Miller mentioned, we are putting walking trails throughout the entire buffer system along the perimeter of the property and connecting to the trail system. We have located a tot lot and a dog park in a safe area. It's pretty far away from the streets. We have a couple of green places, green parks. Central Picnic and the Green Park are areas in which we're going to have barbecues, potentially fire pits, picnic tables and such for gatherings. And then finally, up at the very top of the screen is the public amenities area, which includes a restaurant, and I'd like to dig into that just a little bit. This restaurant and our amenity center, which is called Leasing in this, has something like 50 seats. It's going to have an indoor and outdoor bar. Scratch kitchen is the ambition. We're hoping to have poolside food delivery for our residents. It will be open to the public, which is important. That's why we placed it where it is. Surrounding the restaurant and leasing area is the pool, the spa. We also have a pickleball and a volleyball court, but we will have leagues that will invite the public to attend. All right, last slide. This is, again, the overall subdivision. I'd like to talk about parking. We have 1- and 2-car garages for each one of the units that are attached. For each one of those, there'll be a driveway per car. The driveway itself will be deep enough to accommodate a car without encroaching into the sidewalks. And although not required, and maybe a little bit hard to see on the screen, I circled all the guest parking areas that we sprinkle throughout the center to make it convenient for our guests. The final comment I want to make is a modification that we'd like to seek approval for. On Section 6D, there is a requirement for a fence to be along the entire perimeter short of the front area. We would prefer to have it modified so that it's only along the side that shares with the self-storage area. We'd like the 25-foot wide buffer zone to stand alone as a fencing concept that would be along the residential areas and whatnot as a softer play for our development. It's approximately where the blue line is. That is my comments and conclusions. Happy to take any comments, questions, I should say.
One question, and Mike, you might help me out on this. 3-4 years ago, we, looking at subdivisions in this area, we required like a waiver of some sort so people knew they were moving next to the incinerator or in that vicinity. Do you remember?
Yeah, that development was not approved, but during the discussion, we ended up approving a different type development. But when residential was being proposed, we did require a disclosure of the nearby industrial.
Because of
and the reason how that evolved was the commission at that time, in the prior 6 or 12 months, had some complaints from some of the retirement communities of wasn't odors, it was debris, ashes or something.
Shaving company that
Okay,
was shaving.
but it was a nuisance to neighbors. Even though the industrial park had been there first, we thought that was reasonable. I don't know what your thoughts are about something like that. I don't want to run your buyers off, but
Well, I can respond to that. We don't have a problem notifying the residents. However, my understanding is that this event that occurred was actually a mulch factory that was out of compliance, and it was just sending off ash into
and
the
I
air.
wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, Mr. Miller is the one who told me this. So the incinerator, from what I've heard, has not created any kind of events that have been a problem. I'm certainly interested more than anybody else, but I have not heard one. If this body knows one, please let me know. But my understanding is this is a one-time event that was corrected.
I wasn't aware of, I just remember the incinerator.
Yeah, when the commission discussed it, we actually didn't know where, at least I don't remember where it was even coming from, but we had listened to a lot of complaining, but I'm fine based on what you just described.
Yes, sir.
That satisfies me.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, there is, from time to time, there is ash out there.
Where do you think it comes from? The incinerator?
That's going to be my guess, but from time to time, you do find ash on your vehicles and stuff. Yes, you do. Couple questions for you.
Yes, sir.
What did your traffic study say about the intersection of 48 and 33 and 470?
I don't believe it reached down that far. My traffic
That
engineer.
far, it's, that intersection is probably closer than 27 and 48.
Well, Charlotte? Yeah. As luck would have it, Charlotte Davidson, who is our traffic engineer, is here tonight to speak on such matters.
Okay.
So actually, we did analyze that intersection as well, and we looked to see if we have any significant impact to the intersection, and we did not. So there's not going to be a significant impact. The traffic's not going to get significantly worse.
Worse, that's
Yeah,
the key
that's
word.
the key word, I
Yeah,
think.
significantly worse.
Exactly, but
Adding to an existing problem.
you cannot improve it, just by adding a little bit of traffic. But there's not going to be any significant impact to that intersection.
Well, I mean, what would your estimate of 250 units,
Generate.
500 more vehicles in the subdivision?
So in the peak hour, each unit generates about one trip, one in or out trip. So that's approximately, 125 going out, if it's on 50-50 split. And then by the time it splits up and goes either east or west, and a lot of the traffic goes to the east to go through the intersection at US 27, where it's only contributing to about 2.5% of the traffic at that intersection. So again, it is not considered significant. The average traveler would not notice a significant difference.
All right, and you had mentioned something, and pardon me, I didn't catch it. You had mentioned something about this was actually going to be a decrease to something else.
That's correct. Charlotte can also.
A decrease to what?
Well, currently it's zoned commercial. By right, they have the ability to put an industrial park here. And the reduction in the parking that would be generated by such a facility that's allowed by right is substantially above where we are. It's a number that we're actually not comfortable advertising, but it's a number that would stun you. So
you think an industrial use of this property would generate more traffic?
Correct. More
Charlotte?
traffic and more truck traffic.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying a 250 unit subdivision, plus or minus 2 cars a unit. I mean, you're looking at 500 vehicles.
Right.
You're going to have 500 vehicles at an industrial plant?
Yeah, you can generate a lot of traffic. Yeah.
At an industrial plant?
Well, it depends on what exactly the use is, but, all kinds of industrial development would generate various rates.
I mean, most of the time, industrial buildings are very large buildings, and you don't have a huge occupant load in an industrial complex.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And that definitely can be the case. We looked at it worst case. What's the worst case?
Worst case.
That
There
could
you go.
happen at the site.
That's the key, worst case.
Yeah, and at that worst case scenario, there would be could be a significant amount of traffic. And again, there would be truck traffic. What's being proposed for the site is substantially less of that. So that's the point we were wanting to make, is that a new development that's being proposed is significantly less, and therefore the change in the land use is actually having a positive impact.
So we looked at that as worst case, and we kind of looked at the intersection of 33 and 48 as worst case.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you now.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
The only comment I would make is, I've said this on other developments, I would personally take, landscape buffers, over fencing. I don't know. I don't think we've made a decision as a commission, but I look at this one. I guess you want to fence the mini storage.
Correct.
Okay, but so the purple is fence and the rest is landscape, and I mean I'm fine with that. I assume the original PUD was fencing all the way around.
We're on the entire perimeter and wondering if
Okay.
we can make it softer. We do want to screen against a commercial use, but not
Okay.
the rest.
And my logic is, the fences look nice now, but 10, 15 years, repairs, algae, and landscape buffer will improve. That's the only comment I have. Otherwise, I'm fine with it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the petitioner? Thank you, sir. Public comment. Do we have any public comment on this? Commission comment.
Yes. Again, hate to feel like I bring the same stuff up, but again, we're talking about a 2-lane road here that's about a mile long between 27 and 48 and 48 and 33 and 470. We can't keep dumping all this additional traffic onto this 2-lane road that's bottlenecked between two intersections only a mile long. The property's already is zoned industrial. We're sitting, well, the city is sitting on over 30,000 residential lots already that's been approved over the years. I don't think we need any more residential lots. Some industrial and commercial use actually would be welcomed. And I would have to disagree, as discussion, that was worst case scenario, that an industrial complex is going to draw more than 500 potential cars a day that's probably going to be in this subdivision. Just like the intersection of 48 and 470 and 33. They looked at worst case scenario. Well, basically they're admitting they're going to add to an existing problem already there. I mean, this may not kick the threshold over to force the county to address that intersection, but they're adding to an existing problem we already have. We don't need any more residential lots. It's already presently zoned industrial. We need some commercial industrial in that area. And I say we leave it the present zoning.
So I believe the two lots to the east, large-scale lots are both industrial beside this. Coming back towards the Winn-Dixie, there's still, the original PUD, Dan, was that?
I think that property I can tell you is being marketed for residential. I don't know what the zoning is.
It's zoned, or at least
Property back to the west,
The property that wraps around Winn-Dixie.
back to the east, the property is commercial, and there is some industrial, which is currently being used for, I believe it's a mini warehouse storage
Right,
type
on the other
use. So
side
it's a
of it.
low-intensity type use.
We got industrial all along the road. We don't need any more residential.
And I appreciate your comment about that. I mean, that's an opinion, and, my opinion is that property owners have a right to,
Well, we're not denying their right to use the property. We're just saying you could use it for the zoning that you have on it. We're just saying we don't think it's a good use for this proposed zoning. Develop it the way it's zoned.
So if you lived in Arlington Ridge right there, you would want to see a warehouse with commercial use right in your backyard with loud noises that could operate 24 hours a day?
Well, there's noise things. They can't operate 24 hours
Well, they
a day.
could, maybe not 24 hours a day, but we would get the same complaints from that we were getting from the mulcher shaving company. I would rather see, personally, if I lived in Arlington Ridge, I would rather see a residential behind me because it's going to be a lot quieter than a
You
commercial.
personally don't deal with that traffic every day. It takes me 45 minutes.
I
to
drive all over
from-
the city every day,
It
Jay.
takes me 45 minutes to go from down there to 44 in Leesburg.
We all drive all over the city every day.
Well, I can tell you, I just don't think it's a good use, and it's already zoned industrial. I think it stays industrial.
any other comments from commissioners?
And it's got industrial all around it already.
Yeah, I said in the first reading that I would prefer to see the corridor along the road. I would rather see residential and commercial versus industrial, and move the industrial south or way. I mean, we have a corridor here that goes into the villages. We've got Publix, Winn-Dixie. I think this is a better use. I understand the concerns on traffic, but this is not single family. This is multifamily. We've approved a lot of a lot of single family, but this will be what I consider more like workforce housing for the villages and other businesses in Leesburg. It'll be more affordable housing, or more affordable than single family homes.
I'm thinking my comment would be it's bringing a younger group as well as, I mean, it sounds like it would be, like you said, a mixed group, but with the restaurant as amenity for people to come into other residents outside of the outside of this area, just that it'll be a new place for a family to visit. The pickleball courts, it sounds like the amenities are much more attractive and would attract more younger people as well as middle age. The area is very well, it's tight now. I agree with you on that, Dave, but I think it's going to continue because as the growth goes, we'll just wait and hope that the county will then make a move as far as
So
widening
we're
the
going
roads
to
and
continue
stuff.
to add to an existing problem and just hope and cross our fingers that the county may one day address this area? I mean, it's just
I
like
think what we're
burying your head in
doing
the
is
sand and-
planning for the area.
burying your head in the sand and just act like we don't have a problem.
We have all addressed, Jay, that we know there is an issue
Then
with
why
the
do we
intersection.
keep approving these?
Why do we keep approving? Because landowners have a right to do
Okay,
with their
we're not
property.
denying the landowners. We're saying that we can't, not 250 houses here.
We have a difference of opinion, that's all. Any other comments? So we'll have roll call on 6A1.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
No.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Okay, so now we'll move to 6A2 roll call.
Does it need a separate motion?
We already.
Yeah, we do need a separate motion for each one of these items.
I'll make a
Yes,
motion to
ma'am.
approve 6A2.
Second.
So do we need public comment on this then also?
Did we combine the
We
discussions
combine the two
already?
in the.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, we can canvass in case anybody has anything they'd like to chime in, just to be safe.
Mr. Mayor, if you choose to move forward to approve this one, could you do so with the caveat of the fence change wording?
Sure.
We worked that out a couple of days ago, I think, and the fence will be on the east and partly on the south. And we can word that out prior to signature.
Okay.
I'll modify my motion to include the updated fence requirements.
And anything else? You good with that? Is that satisfied?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is that an amendment to the motion that we need to, do we need to, just give me,
I think that he made the motion as Commissioner Reisman stated the motion, including that in it, so I think that we're good.
we'll be all right with that? Okay. All right, so,
I'm sorry for not turning my
that's
microphone on.
okay. So, do we have any public comment on the PUD specifically? We've heard from the petitioner. Any questions, any comments from the commission? Roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
No.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce item 6A3.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Excuse me. 6A3, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, amending the city's comprehensive plan, future land element, transportation element, housing element, sanitary sewer element, potable water element, solid waste element, drainage element, aquifer recharge element, conservation element, recreation and open space element, intergovernmental coordination element, capital improvements element, aviation element, property rights element under the procedures established in sections 163.3184, parentheses 2 and parentheses 4, and to comply with sections 163 and 373 of the Florida statutes related to water supply planning requirements by amending the Water Supply Facilities Work Plan and incorporating the Water Supply Facilities Work Plan as an index to the potable water element, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion.
I never got the map.
It was emailed.
When did you send it?
4:45-ish.
All right.
We're looking for a map of,
The future land use plan.
gotcha. Are there any other comments? One little thing I have, it's minor, but in the packet that had the pretty pictures of the city of Leesburg, we probably need to make some adjustments to who's our directors of
Yes, sir.
various.
We need to correct the library director,
Correct.
and we found a couple of small things that have
Yeah.
changed between first and second reading.
Exactly.
We are aware of those, yes, sir.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that was done. Questions for Dan with regard, this has been quite an adventure. I appreciate staff's,
You want
yeah.
me to give you the whole spiel?
Yeah, if you give us a,
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, Madam City Clerk, Mr. City Attorney. As you know, Chapter 163 Florida statutes requires each city and county in Florida to have a comprehensive plan with periodic updates to account for changes as needed. So the planning and zoning staff are pleased to present the final City of Leesburg 2045 comprehensive plan for its second reading. The new comp plan process started 2 years ago in late 2022. The commission did approve the hiring of Calvin Giordano and Associates, who are represented tonight by Mr. Luis Cerna. Alyssa is not here tonight. Okay, but Alyssa Livingstone was also involved with that. It's a lengthy and extensive process that began at that time, and it culminates in the document that you have before you now. In May of this year, staff did a presentation on the comp plan, the process, and on September 9 of this year, the commission held the first reading on this document. After that September 9 meeting, the plan was transmitted to the State Department of Commerce, or State Commerce Department, which is the current name for the State Land Planning Agency. There were some minor technical comments, which are standard, but we got through with very few, so I'm really proud of my staff. They were addressed by staff, and then, so what you have today is the final branded version with the cover and the table of contents and all that. We added, as we stated at the September 9 meeting. So just to recap, the plan was seen by the public at the charrettes, which many of you and planning commissioners attended. First reading was September 9. The plan was transmitted to Florida Commerce. State agencies reviewed the data and analysis. So the last remaining hurdle is to have this plan, if approved tonight, goes back to the state as the approved plan. Then we have the standard 30-day legal challenge, which we have on all city ordinances. So if this plan is approved tonight, it will be sent to the state tomorrow. I think Candy Harper, the deputy director, has a letter ready to go for that. And it will become official in either late December of this year or early January with no more strings. I wanted to note that the goals of this comprehensive plan were to simplify the overall comp plan language, to allow direct, clear application of the goals, objectives, and policies, and basically create a practical, useful, usable document which implements an overall vision for day-to-day community development activities. Staff does feel that I feel that the city staff and the various departments met the challenge that we put out on this challenge of these goals in this large and rather complex document. Project manager Candy Harper, who's my deputy director and planner, Max Van Allen, are both here tonight. They did a great job on this project. And we also want to thank all the different city departments, many of whom are represented here tonight. They were vital in getting this document done and working with Mr. Cerna and Ms. Livingstone. And Mr. Cerna is here from Calvin Giordano. That's the city's consultant on this project. They did a great job for us. So, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. City Manager, staff wants to thank you for your support in this very large and expansive endeavor. Thank you, sir.
Dan, I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
What I'm looking at here, is this on the future land use? Is this all the properties that are currently in the city?
The future land use map should be colored in with all the properties that are in the city, yes.
Okay. This doesn't include anything outside the city that would be within our
ISBA, correct.
So it does not include any of that?
It should not, right.
Okay, so this is just properties already currently in the city?
That is correct.
So in the future, if somebody comes in and wants to annex in, obviously it's not in the future land use map.
Correct.
So what do you do with that? How do you make the determination?
If it's annexable?
If it's, annexable or it's not in our future land use, so how do you know what zoning is
Okay.
be good?
It's very dependent on the situation. For example, what we look for in annexations generally is we're looking for something along a major corridor that can connect to a major roadway, trying to keep traffic off the smaller roadways.
We are? Really?
And it has to be within the ISBA, and we're not looking for things that are far out in the ISBA. They have to be within the ISBA and hopefully close to a major roadway. Now, that's the policy. That's not a written law. That's the policy we have used in what we have talked to people about. When you look at the specific zoning or future land use, you want to look at the properties around it, what's the existing development, because land use changes over time. And that's a difficult pill to swallow. What is once perhaps almost, let's say, suburban development that's being overtaken by taller buildings and so forth, that land use over time goes from a undeveloped land to an exurb to a suburb to highly developed. And it takes years, but it does, that's the overall process. So we're going to look at what is around the property, what is coming in, is it around neighborhoods, is it around industrial land, is it around commercial land, and can we put mixed uses in there, or do we need to stay with, one particular zoning or future land use? We have found the PUD to be the most effective tool for most zonings. Not always, but generally speaking.
So when we do the comprehensive, this comp plan's for what, 20 years?
20 years, but the thing to remember about a plan is that all plans are fluid. They are for a point in time. Depending on the situation year by year, you need to amend that plan to look to the future, okay? And as I said, because land uses change over time, you can't make a static point and everything is going to be exactly like this for 20 years. This is what we use on a day-to-day basis, but new development, example, the village is coming in, that can change land uses.
So I guess my last question is to wrap this up.
Yes, sir.
This is a 20-year, just say 20-year projection, but we don't project future land uses on properties that are not currently in the city, even though they're in our ISBA
Correct.
annexation area.
That's correct.
Okay.
We're not going to project a land use that's outside the city unless they request to come in, and then we want to look at that from there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Other questions for Dan? Anybody?
We've had some discussions of late on the consumptive use permit. I mean, I didn't see it in here, but I assume this is kind of our ammunition to continue to work. Are they tied? I'm talking, this is more just a learning question.
Yeah, and as you know, we had applied to extend the consumptive use permit. Okay, so this, as you know, contrary to the discussion, but With your authorization, we applied for the consumptive use permit expansion from 9 MGD to about 15 MGD, based on the annexations and potential development of the 40,000 lots that we referenced here this evening. Our latest information back from the district is the district rejected that. They did not agree that our community was growing that fast based on other data, such as single-family residential certificate of occupancies being issued, and they essentially their response to us was, "Come back and see us in 2030-ish." When your permit expires. And I can't remember the exact date. Cliff would know, but it's 29, 30 timeframe. We have a few more years left on the CUP. Okay. Having said that, I'll also say so essentially the water district is saying growth does not justify your withdrawal from the ground. I believe that if we can justify that growth, then we would get an expansion of the CUP.
Okay.
So I think this document supports that, but then what we have to do is we have to see the approved subdivisions actually get developed, and that is the disconnect, I think, between all these discussions we have. What we've approved in the private sector, and the private sector then developing what's approved, and in Leesburg, there's a lag.
Okay. No, you helped me right there. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, the comprehensive plan contains the water supply plan, which is separate from the consumptive use permit. The water supply plan is the potable water conservation, intergovernmental coordination, and capital improvements element. That's looking at how we're going to supply the water. The CUP is the permit to actually get the water.
Things we're going to do to conserve and treat Mother Earth nicely.
No, thank you for that clarification. I guess I was trying to understand how intertwined they were. So you answered
interrelated.
that.
They're interrelated. So
They have to be to some point, but-
Essentially, we got to tell the district in our comprehensive plan that we're going to treat Mother Earth nicely.
Yeah.
And if we don't say those type of things, then there's no chance of getting the CUP expanded.
Thank you very much.
Dan, I did have one question. This current plan is a 20-year projection.
Yes, sir.
When
it's
we
20-year
did our
plan.
previous, was that 10, 12 years ago?
Yes, sir.
So
They're
it was a
generally
10-year.
A city can do its plans in various ways. Generally, they are either 20 or 30 years. We chose to go to the 20-year horizon, but the state wants you to update it every 10 years.
I knew there was a 10-year.
Yes, sir. That's the catch in there, is that they want you to look 20 years ahead every 10 years.
Okay, so 10 years from now, we'll be
back.
Good
I'll
deal.
be retired.
That's good. We want that.
And once it comes back.
Somebody will be here.
Once it comes back from the state and they're all approved, then we'll get copies. I mean, can we get the printouts? of those?
You can get copies now.
Oh, okay.
We can
Copy
provide,
changes?
if you approve this, we'll insert the ordinance number.
Okay.
And then we do intend to provide a hard copy to each commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
So, and I believe it's in our contract, a certain number of copies. If it's not, we will run them off. So,
Good. Any other questions for Dan? Comments? I guess we're at a roll call.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. All right, move on to item 6B1, first reading of ordinances. We have none. 6C1, non-routine items. We have none. Item 7, informational reports. There are none. Item 8, city attorney items.
No reports this evening, everyone. I just hope everyone has a nice Thanksgiving and enjoys their time with their family and friends, and I look forward to seeing you after the holiday.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you. City manager items.
Yeah, just on a quick note, I wanted to point out to the commission that we had a little bit of a disconnect between our fire assessment fee consultant and the tax collector's office and the city, kind of the three of us. This was the first year that fire assessment fees were going to be sent out to the village of Westlake, and the error was that the consultant did not get that notice out in the trim notices. There is a cure for that. Our tax collector, David Jordan, is really helping us out with that. He is going to send out notice for the advertisement requirements as well as just delay the penalties and collection on those. So those notices will get out. We'll be working with the tax collector in the next couple weeks to get the justification out and anticipate they'll be collected as normal with the thanks to the tax collector. And on that note as well, we still have our scheduled payment to the village's CDD. So we have to make that at the end of the year. So I don't, at the end of the fiscal year, there won't be a cash flow issue, but a little bit of one now, a little bit. But everything should work out, and we'll field any questions we have from the villagers of Westlake or anything that may pop up in the interim. Just so I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then also, as well, I will be out Tuesday and Wednesday trying to tack on a couple extra days to the holiday. I'll be local if you need me. Deputy Manager Hicks will serve in my stead. That's why he's not here this evening. So we traded days. Wish everybody happy holidays, and we'll see you next week.
Roll call.
Commissioner Reisman?
A couple things. I want to thank Public Works. I received a couple calls this week, and they were very quick to address those issues for our residents. I want to say thank you to the Special Events Department and the Rec Department for the Flapjack 5K and the Pancake Palooza. That went off really well. And then hope to see everyone out on the Leesburg Christmas Festival and Parade on 12/7. And on that, thank you to all the staff for getting us Christmas ready. I want to put out there that the Electric Advisory Board is accepting applications. Hope to see you all at the groundbreaking for Phase 1 at the airport on 12/4. Also at the Leesburg Library, the Voices and Votes Democracy in America. It's a Smithsonian exhibition. If you get by there and see that, it's on the second floor. It is pretty impressive, and it's pretty cool to have something like that here in Leesburg. And lastly, I would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and then we'll see you in December. Thank you.
Alan, on the Electric Advisory Board, could you tell them the positions?
That are available?
Yes.
I'm not sure which ones are available.
There's three.
There's three.
One is for the Fruitland Park.
No, I'll hit. One is there's three. The big commercial,
Large-scale
Commissioner,
Roebuck.
Roebuck.
Dan Roebuck.
He's not reapplying. We'll reach out to Jesse Flynn, who serves as the small business person. So those two are open because that is how we turned them out. They now go into a 4-year term. And then with Commissioner Tim Morris being elected to the BOCC, he resigned his position. He served as the unincorporated residential customer. So if anybody who lives in and around Leesburg, but not in the city limits and not Fruitland Park, is an electric user, you would qualify for that. And that area is basically the Rough House, the Silver Lake region.
One last thing. We do have multiple positions available within the city, so if you want to work for the city of Leesburg, we're a great city, CHR.
Right.
So that's it.
Thank you, Alan.
Yep.
Commissioner Connell?
Nothing.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes, I have one, please. I'd like to give kudos to Chad and his staff. I received this email, at the end of September from Bessie Ross, and she would like to let the city know how great your employees are. His name is Chad Conklin, and he has been assisting her for some time, and she says each time he comes, he never wavers in any way and does whatever he's expected plus. And I just wanted to say congratulations to him and share this email with her. She didn't know where to send it, so I received it. And I also would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your families.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing tonight other than just have a happy Thanksgiving and be safe.
Mayor Burry?
I have nothing tonight.
For
Second.